Good afternoon. Welcome everyone. I am Kate Shipp. I'm a yoga therapist. I specialize in trauma recovery and mental health. We are going to have a little discussion today on the power of love. I asked last week in my communities for topics that people may want to talk about on one of these live offerings. And there were two different comments that were made. And one of the comments was on respecting others when we have disagreements, and the other one on love. So I thought, well, the power of love really covers both of those, and we're going to dive in a little bit. So I am streaming this afternoon via StreamYard. So I'm streaming to a couple different pages via Facebook. If you haven't registered on StreamYard yet, please do so. That way I can see your name. If you're here, let me know you're here. Say hello. It will pop up as Facebook user if you haven't registered with StreamYard. So you can go to facebook.com/StreamYard and it will let you register. That way your name will come up. But I see someone there. Hello. Let me know you're here with me. I'm going to give a little bit for some people to come on, and then we're going to have a little discussion. So I love being interactive when I go live. I love talking with you guys. I love when you make comments and you ask questions, and we can have a little bit more of an online chat instead of me just talking solely about different things. But we are going to focus today on this energy of love. So because of things that have happened in our world, because of what's happening this week, there are a lot of dense energies. There's a lot of emotional things coming up for people. I shared on my Facebook page yesterday that if you feel more anxious, if you're having a hard time sleeping, if you're finding that you're more thirsty, you're eating things you don't normally eat, you're a little more irritable, if you feel like you're shaky or trembly, if you're feeling kind of out of sorts, just different than how you do most of the time, that's normal right now. And it probably will be for these next 4 days. There's some kind of upheavals of things going on vibrationally that are affecting us because we're vibrational beings. Hi, Brianna. Hi, Ava Maria. You guys let me know that you're here. Say hello. You can comment on Facebook. Hi, Julie. If you guys are on using the StreamYard link, facebook.com/StreamYard, that way I will see your name. I will look on my phone from time to time to see if people are jumping on Facebook and commenting too. So talking today about the power of love and how we can use it and harness it to help ourselves through these difficult times, to help ourselves in general, but also to help ourselves through these difficult times. Hi, Linda. I'm glad you're here. And I appreciate each of you that are jumping on right now to join me in this discussion. So first and foremost, I think it's important to define what is love. Okay. Hi, Karen. Karen, thank you so much for putting that in the comments. You are a blessing. I appreciate you. So Karen posted in there the link for people to be able to register with StreamYard so that I can see your name. Hi, Susie. So your guys, some of you are coming up as Facebook users. Some of you are coming up with your name. That is because I'm using StreamYard. Hi, Chicky. People are still coming on. So before I dive in, let's see who else is jumping on with us. Let me know you're here. Say hello. I'm going to be doing more of these at this time, 12:30 on Tuesdays. Things have adjusted in my schedule a little bit, and I think that's all God-oriented. I said I wanted one day during the afternoon where I can jump on and offer an hour-long, whatever it may be, a sharing, a teaching, something that allows us to have some more connection and community through this platform as well. So I was saying, defining what is love. I'm going to give a little story on this. The story is that when I was young, I was very, very, very loved. What I've learned as an adult is I didn't feel loved. And because of things that had happened to me, so those of you that know my story know that I had sexual trauma as a child. There was emotional trauma as a child. There was a death experience as a teenager. There was more sexual trauma as a teenager. And I lived that as a definition of who I was for a very, very, very long time. And fortunately, over this past decade, and really, really these past 5 years, I've been able to overcome complex PTSD. And one of the major pieces on my journey in doing that was having to define what is love. What is love when it comes to the feeling of love? Meaning, what does love even feel like as it's moving through our physical being? What is love as an energy? What is love as the truth of who we are? So in what I believe and ascribe to as a Christian and as a yoga therapist is love is who we are. It is not just an emotion. There is an emotional vibration of love. And then there is the experience in the totality of who we are as love. And what I also know to be true is then there's the human love, which, as much as we don't want to believe it to be true, is conditional because we have an ego, right? Christians would say because we have flesh. Yogis call it an ego. It's the same thing. So our ego mind has a capacity of love and a limit. And anything that threatens the ego, it doesn't like. So when we've grown up with this idea of this is what love means, like A, B, C, D, and then we have experiences throughout our life that we kind of relate to those things. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. We have experiences in life that relate to those A, B, C, D things. And then we start to discern, well, is that really love? This is what I thought love was. And now this person is saying this is love. And then we start going inward and recognize, well, what does that even mean? And was that love when I was young? Is this love now? And it becomes a deeply reflective piece of our inner work. And one of the first steps I found that's critical is defining for yourself, what is love? What does that even mean? Okay. And how does that feel within myself? You guys know I do everything I do is embodiment work. It's through our body, our beingness of human that we experience life. So what does love feel like in my somatic, meaning my body feeling? Okay. All right. So let's see. Some people are commenting on here. Hello. Good afternoon, Susie. The conditions of love, still unpacking them myself. Yeah. Layers and layers, and the ways that we kind of adapt love to meet our needs. That could be a whole nother topic. Your dog's barking to my dog. They tend to like to talk to each other, don't they? So this love as an energy, and when I say energy, sometimes that freaks people out. So let me say it this way. Your breath is what gives you life, right? And the Bible talks about the breath so many times, okay? In yoga, we talk about the breath as the delivery system of prana. And the more we're breathing, the more life we have moving through our being. That's our energy, right? So we can call it the Holy Spirit. We can call it prana. We can call it chi. We can call it ki. All these different lineages of wellness, of wholeness, have a word. And really what it is the source of life that's living alive within us. And we need that coursing through our being. And ideally, that source of life is aligned with the truth of love. If our source of life is aligned with fear, we're going to get sick. We're going to have more imbalances. We're going to have more dis-ease, meaning we'll be out of harmony with life. If our source of life inside of us is aligned with love, with truth, we're going to feel expansive. We're going to feel light. We're going to feel open. We're going to feel capable and strong and allowing. And so that's what this energy is, vibrational scales that say if love is the highest vibration available for us, fear is actually not the lowest. And a lot of people think it is. On the vibrational scale, the lowest is shame. Shame being this dark pit that people fall into, myself included, that tells us lies all day long. And shame being, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I am bad, right? And so fear is actually number 5 in vibration from the low up, right? So we have other energies that live below it that try and pull us away from the truth of who we are as love. And all of these present as emotional experiences in our body, right? When we feel fear, our body presents in a certain way. We retract, we pull in, we shut down, we fight or flight, we flee, we freeze, right? These fear responses. When we're in love, we become more clear. We're more productive. We're more connected beings. We're empathetic. We're compassionate. There's a sense of community that shows up. Right? So these scales of vibration are what I'm talking about with energy. And we are able to transform, transmute, some people will say. We're able to integrate based on the source of life moving through our being. Right? So Susie's saying, do you think that holding the breath is holding back on love? I do. Normally, people who hold their breath out at the bottom of the exhale are very scared to receive life, to receive love, right? People that hold their breath at the top of the inhale and they have a hard time exhaling, they have a really big fear of letting go, normally because they're scared that more is not going to come back in. So they're scared of letting go of whatever love is there for them, because what if it doesn't come back? So I have to grasp, right? I'm attached to and grasping because there's fear of it not coming back. And then there's this fear of actually being alive and well. So I don't take in a full breath because do I have the capacity to hold all of life within me? And you do. We just have to increase that capacity for it. And something that I learned in this journey of defining what is love to me, and I would read in the Bible about the different scriptures on love, and I would read in other philosophical texts on what is love, and I would read in my energy psychology things that I study on what is the vibration of love and where is that felt and how is it experienced. And there's a personal layer to this that everyone experiences it differently. But what is also common, and I see this with the work that I do with clients every day, is it's expansive. That when we're in the vibration of love, we are expansive. We are more bold. We are more brave. We're courageous, right? We are willing to show up for others. We have a higher functioning immune system, right? We are more connected to the world at large, even if we're sitting in our home, but if we have a vibration of love. And when we're holding that vibration of love and breathing and expanding it, it's not just affecting us, it's creating this ripple effect out into the world. And science has actually shown that it expands outward into the atmosphere, right? Outward into galaxies. And I'm not kidding about this. You can research the science. Albert Einstein had it called I think he called it his spooky effect is what it was. That when one person on Earth changes their vibration into love, it has this astronomical ripple effect out universally that changes all of the energy in our field. So it's not just a cliche statement of when we are in love, the world changes. It's true. It's actually scientifically proven truth. But what happens is when we're conditioned to live in fear and then programmed to live in fear, it becomes very uncomfortable to live in love because we're talking about a major jump in vibrational scale. So it feels safer to gently climb it and to practice that instead of shooting up into love and then you've got a big fall back down because you haven't built your capacity to stay there. So sometimes people, when they go to a yoga practice or when they go to a worship service, or when they're out in nature, or where they're having this amazing experience of so much love. And then they leave the situation and they feel themselves fall, and they feel their energy drop, and they feel this retraction again, and this like pulling inward, because they haven't built that capacity to expand and hold it. So part of the practice of love is learning how to bring yourself up slowly into that vibration, and then learning how to hold it and increase your capacity to stay there. One of the things that I learned over the years of my inner work is that love was not what I thought it was. That oftentimes, and this is the second point I wanted to really focus on today, is human love, conditional love, is fear masked, like layered, like coated or plated in love. So if you think about like a piece of jewelry that's gold plated, eventually in time, the gold plating wears away, and then you see it for what it really is. I think we all have had relationships where that comes to light, right? We enter into a relationship or into a job or into some sort of connection, and it's not really what it seemed, right? Over time, things fade away, and you're like, oh, now I see for what it really is, right? So oftentimes that's a lot of what human love can feel like, is there's fear, and then there's a layer of love over it. It's masking it, okay? And then as that pulls away and fear begins to present itself, depending on your experiences from your past with fear and whether they were processed fully or not, you'll either choose to stay in that situation or you'll choose to release that situation because it doesn't feel right anymore. What happens is, because then there's our human need for connection, we make excuses, and that usually has a lot to do with unprocessed traumas. We make excuses to stay in situations that are not loving. Okay. All right. So I've got some people coming in. So I want to say hello. Let me know that you're here. If you're here, I'm using StreamYard, you guys. So make sure you go to facebook.com/StreamYard to register. It's a couple, it says Facebook users. So hello, I don't know who that is. I'll check and see. It sounds powerful. Love is the highest power that there is. We'll talk about that more. Jenny Lynn, hello. Heidi, hello. Susie, excellent. I've been wondering about the difference between fear in and out breaths. Yes, there's a lot of amazing science behind breath and the therapy of breath that relates to just our simple inhales and exhales can tell us a lot about how we're receiving life or denying life within ourselves. Okay, so fear masked as love. For those that have worked with me know I define trauma as unprocessed emotional experiences due to the events of our past. The trauma is not the events that occurred, because everyone has had different events happen, and there's been thousands of people that have been through the same event, and it's not traumatic for everyone, right? COVID is a worldwide event, unfortunately. Whether it becomes traumatic for those or not has to do with whether people are processing their emotions through this time. The unprocessed emotion because of the event is what causes the trauma to knot up in our nervous system, right? In yoga, they're called energy knots. In the Bible, they refer to them as heart knots. There's actually a prayer called the Undoer of Knots. Look up that prayer. It's beautiful, right? And it's one to pray over and over again if you're someone who has a lot of heart wounding. If you have a hard time receiving love or giving love, I recommend that prayer, the Undoer of Knots. Right, so these knots in our nervous system are what get triggered or activated when something occurs or when something enters our field of vibration that resonates with what is unprocessed inside of us. So Why is it that someone can watch something on TV and they're fine, and the person sitting next to them can watch something on TV and they're a mess, right? And they start having a response. There's some sort of unprocessed emotional experience being triggered that's then coming up. Fear, as the lower energy, and like I said, this vibrational scale, shame is underneath the fear, right? This fear of being not good enough, this fear of being unlovable or unwanted. Right? And so we become something that we're not to receive the love that we need. Okay, so we have people jumping in. Hi, Lizzie K. Hi, Brenda. Jenny Lynn saying, so cool, prana. Yeah, the power of prana is beyond my understanding. I've had the most amazing experiences in doing deep breath work, and I'm blown away because it truly is an embodied spiritual experience. When we breathe and expand prana through our being, the capacity for our ability to hold love is exponential. It's amazing. Dawn said, retained breathing causes so much anxiety for me. Seeing a correlation here. Absolutely. Because you're not letting the holding the breath in can create like a panic effect, because it's our natural tendency, it's our nature to release and let go. But there's a fear of that for some people. Jenny Lynn, the undoer of knots prayer. Yes, please. Check it out. Brenda, last night through a dream, I processed grief from a 1984 experience that I completely forgot about because it seemed so small in comparison to my other life events. It brought more insight I'm grateful for. Yeah, so here's the thing. In psychology, they talk about like big T traumas and little t traumas, right? Big T traumas being the things that the ACEs model, the adverse childhood experiences, use to kind of compartmentalize the tendency for someone to have mental health issues later on, right? So big T traumas may be physical, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, divorce, a parent dying, substance abuse in the home, abandonment. So you can look up the ACEs model, right? One of the things that is also talked about are these little T traumas. And little T traumas could be this. A little girl's playing on a playground at school, and a couple of the girls are mean to her, right? Let's say she's 6. And a couple of the girls are really mean to her, and they make fun of her, and she's crying, and she's starting to shake, and she goes to find a teacher on the playground to talk to because she's really hurt and upset that these girls were being mean. And this little girl goes up to the teacher who she trusts, and she says, Mrs. Smith, Mrs. Smith, so-and-so were being so mean to me. They're making fun of what I'm wearing, and they won't let me play with them. And she's like shaking and crying. And the teacher dismisses her. And the teacher says, oh, kids are just mean to each other. Go back and play. That right there can cause a little T trauma due to emotional neglect. Meaning, in that moment, the little girl simply needed the teacher to say, I'm so sorry this happened to you. It's going to be okay. I'm sorry that they were mean to you. Validating the little girl's feelings, not changing them for her, validating the feeling, right? Maybe putting an arm around her. Nowadays, maybe that's not allowed. I still see some side hugs with teachers, right? And then acknowledging her feelings and then giving her a redirect. Right? That would have been a correct response in that situation. But because maybe the little girl didn't have that emotional need met, now she doesn't trust the teacher as much. Now she feels like her feelings are invalid. She's less likely to stand up for herself. She's less likely to ask for the support that she needs. And she's more likely to believe that her emotions don't matter. And I know that may seem dramatic, you guys, but that's what happens. And those small T's, right? Somebody would look at that situation and be like, oh my gosh, they just need to get over it. That's the problem. The lack of love due to being uncomfortable with people's emotions is what causes trauma. If we can show up in empathy really being misunderstood. Empathy is not, I feel what you feel, right? If you have someone in your life who had just had a really awful experience and they're feeling and they're really hurt, you may not feel the hurt because you didn't have that same experience. But empathy means I am showing up for you in this because I know what it's like to feel hurt. It doesn't mean I'm feeling hurt in this moment, and it doesn't mean I'm going to take on your hurt because you're feeling hurt. It means I show up empathetic to your feelings, and I give you the space to have the emotional experience that you're having. That's love. That is a safe space for emotional processing to occur. So we can show up for people in this place of love that says, I don't have to be going through it with you. I don't have to have had the same experience that you've had, but I can empathize because I know those feelings. I know what that's like. Those little T traumas start to dissolve, and eventually the bigger T ones can come up for more healing and integration to occur. What I've learned over the years is it's these little T's stacked up that actually can create more nervous system imbalance than one big T event. So, hard topic, but I'm going to go there. A woman gets raped, okay? Unfortunately, I've had this happen more than once. A woman gets raped. The event happens once, it's over, it's done. It started, it ended, it's done. The woman knows it started, it ended, it's done. Okay. The effects of it in her system may not be done, but the event is over. So the woman knows that she's not in that environment all the time. Okay. I'm going to pause that right there. Young girl in a home environment where maybe there's emotional neglect, unmet emotional needs. And there's inconsistency every day in how the caregivers are showing up, whether it's parents, grandparents, foster parents, whoever the caregivers are. One day things are really well, the next day they're chaotic. One day the parents or caregivers are very loving, the next day they're very abusive. So there's what's called inconsistency. And so the child never knows what they're going to wake up to each morning. And so that turns into what we call more developmental trauma around daily and unending occurrence of unmet emotional need. So we have one time big crisis, daily emotional crisis. The daily emotional crisis is more damaging on the nervous system than the one-time damaging event. How does this relate to love? Okay. When there's a lot of wounding in our heart, we put up these walls, these armoring that they're called. And the armoring is not going to let anything in because the primary need is survival. The primary need is I have to get through this. I saw some people jumping on. Hi, Jade. Brenda, explanation of trauma is perfect, beautiful. The little girl can acknowledge her feelings as they happen. Yes. Julie saying yes. Jenny, see here, acknowledge, redirect. Little T traumas add up. Absolutely they do. Absolutely they add up. Right. So I'm checking Facebook really quick just to make sure that we're good here. So the armoring of the heart. I think if we all were to check in with our heart in some way, we could say that there's little heart walls. Some would say that they are locked and loaded and steel doors with bricks behind the steel doors and then chicken wire fences in front of the bricks and then maybe barbed wire in front of that. Like nothing's getting in this field because of so much hurt and pain over time. Right? And so it takes a lot of gentleness to be able to start to bring some of those heart walls and some of this armoring down. And that's okay. And there's no timeline for this process to happen. It has to be gentle and kind and with the right type of therapeutic care and support. what starts to happen is there's these two different layers of the heart that start showing up. There's the wounding, and the wounding being all these things happened, and so maybe they'll happen again. The wounding being people who said they loved me hurt me, and so maybe I can't trust people. Or people who said they loved me treated me poorly, so love is not safe. That's not love. And I cannot emphasize that enough. That is not love. Love is expansive. Remember what I said at the beginning? Love is light. Love is allowing for harmony within our being, right? Love is gentle, it's kind, it's compassion, it's empathy, it's belonging, it's connection, it's goodness, it's grace. Okay? It's this understanding of deliverance within us, meaning we are going to be cared for, we are going to be held, we are going to be acknowledged and heard and seen and valued, and we're going to feel important, and we're going to feel like our needs matter. That's love. Right? So that's what I call the wisdom of the heart. The wisdom of the heart is aligned with truth. And the truths are those that allow you to connect to the source of life that lives inside you. So when people ask me, what is your truth? My truth is love. Right? My belief is in Christ. My truth is love. There's a difference. Right? I align with love. My truth is love. Right? My belief is in Christ, who was love. And yoga teaches that we are revealing through these practices and philosophies the remembrance of who we are, which is love. We're remembering that we are not the lies that we were told. We are not the experiences that we've had. We are not the pain. We are not the hurt, right? We are love, and that level of power that comes through love is what helps us overcome those things. So we have this, yes, Asher is saying hi again. Someone's probably outside the house somewhere. He lets us know when anybody is nearby. So we have the wounding of the heart that's based on these unprocessed experiences, these hard things that are really difficult, that a lot of times people don't want to look at. And I get that, right? Sometimes it's too painful. Sometimes we don't have the right support in life. Sometimes we don't have the energy we need to be able to look at those things. And sometimes we have to. Sometimes we know we're not going to overcome other things in life if we don't. Sometimes God just says it's time. It's time for you to finally overcome this, because you need to do something else that I'm asking you to do, and you won't be able to do something else that I'm asking you to do if you don't work through this piece. And so there becomes this wisdom, and the wisdom comes through discernment. And so sometimes people will say it shows up as intuition. And science will say that intuition is our highest intellect. And yoga teaches us the same thing. But the intuition is only intellect when it comes from truth, when it comes from alignment with the source of love that lives inside you. And the power of that love will override any of the wounding. And it will rest as this new container that can hold whatever pain and suffering has happened. So the power of love to say, you are whole and complete as you are, even if you feel hurt. Even if there's these unprocessed traumas, even if you had these horrible experiences, who you are is love. And I will hold you in love and see you in love until you remember that you are love. That's what happens when we're met in connection and empathy, right? I will hold you in love. I will see you as love until you remember you are love. And that's one of the inner workings that becomes revealed through your connection to the source of love that lives inside you. So when we're wrestling in our hearts, right? We're wrestling with our past, we're wrestling with the pain. And then there's a word that people don't like that I'm going to use right now, but it's part of this power of love is surrender. And even saying that word, I'm sure some of you in your body may have been like, your heart wall like went, whoop, I don't know about that. Surrender doesn't feel safe. Surrender feels like giving up. Surrender feels like I don't have control. Surrender feels like they win. No. When I'm talking about the practice of surrender in reference to love, surrender is rest into the arms of grace. Surrender is give in to the source of love that lives inside you and let that power and that strength come out so that you can be held, so that you can move through this with more ease, so that you can be nurtured and comforted. This is where it talks about in scriptural teachings on the peace beyond our understanding. Why is it that certain people who've been through horrific things in their life are some of the most joyful people in the world? Because they've surrendered. They've said, I can't do this on my own. I need to call on the source of love that lives alive inside me to help me through this. I need to surrender into grace. Abiding love. Abiding love means to rest into love, not the emotion of love, the beingness of who you are as love. I think of it as like when a rose is opening and that softness of the petals, like this textural, soothing softness, right? And it's like falling back and being held and supported by these beautiful, soft landing. Right? That's a firm foundation that will always be there to hold us, right? That aligns with truth, that's able to say, even if I am still lovable, even if I am still cared for, even if I am still important, even if I belong here. And we change these what ifs. Well, what if this, and what if this, and what if this? And it turns into even if this. Even if this was my past, I am still worthy of love. Even if I did these awful things, I am still worthy of love. Even if I was hurt or shamed or abused or abandoned, I am worthy of love. And so the what ifs become even ifs when we surrender them. And so Jenny Lynn saying, "Ooh, that's good. Surrender is resting into the arms of grace and love." Yes. Surrender is not a fight, right? It's not this white flag that goes up in the air that's like, you win, I lose. Surrender is I win because I'm allowing the source of love that lives within me to have its power to take over. The moment we let fear take over, we lose every time. Without a doubt, every time. When we call upon the power of love that lives within us, we will always win. It may not be in the time that we want it to, and it may not be in the way that we want. That's the letting go of control piece, is when we surrender into love, we have to surrender control. Because we don't necessarily get to decide the when and the how. We do get to decide how we show up in that. We do get to decide whether we're meeting people with kindness and with compassion and with gentleness and with respect. I don't have to have the same belief as you to be kind to you. There are a lot of people in my life who have questioned what I do. How can you be a yoga therapist and a Christ follower? I'm like, why not? And they're like, well, what about this and what about this? And I said, I don't have a problem with reconciling some of these differences in my heart. I know my truth. The problem becomes their judgment of me because they don't understand. And we can open ourselves up for further understanding through compassionate conversation. We shut ourselves down in fear when we say, I don't agree with you, so I'm going to judge you, and then I'm going to be unkind. That's what fear wants. We are living right now in a spiritual battleground, right? And I had a talk with someone yesterday who he and I are very close, and we can talk about these types of things. And he was saying that there's some people that believe that the spiritual battle that's happening right now is the second greatest that there's ever been. The first greatest between the battle between Michael and Satan. And then right now, the spiritual battle that's happening in our world is second to that. And I agreed. I said, I feel it. I see it in my clients. I see it in the world. I see it on social media. And fear is trying so hard to take control because love is winning. And so when love starts winning and when we start surrendering into grace and we say, I see your humanity and I love you, and I'm not as concerned with what you look like or what you believe or what you practice or who you ascribe your teachings to or what race you are or what political party you are. None of that matters, you guys. We have to get back into embodying the source of love that we are to make these changes that we say we want in the world. One of the things I invite my clients to always answer is, are you willing to do what it takes to have what it is that you say that you want? Think about that question. Are you willing to do what it takes to have what it is that you say that you want? And it's about a 50-50 answer. Some people are unwilling or not ready to do what it takes to have the life they want to live. Because in order to make those changes mean they have to really show up. And they have to have hard conversations. And they have to meet people with kindness where they've judged them before. And they have to open these heart walls a little bit at a time to say, where am I rejecting love? Where am I pushing it away when it's the one thing I really want? And then they have to say, where am I not giving love because I'm so scared of being hurt? Where am I withholding love and causing conflict and harm in a relationship because I'm terrified of vulnerability? Right? So the wisdom of love aligns with truth. It aligns with wholeness. The wounding of love aligns with fear. And I understand that these are deep topics that philosophers and theologists have talked about for thousands of years, you guys. And it's something that is so important and powerful in my life because when I finally started understanding the truth of love as it lives within me, everything started changing. Because then I could start having discernment. And discernment meaning, is this truth or is it not truth? And then I had to look at, what do I align truth with? And I looked at the teachings that I follow. And if it didn't align with that, then it wasn't love, not for me. And like I said, love for humanity is seeing people in their wholeness, not as we want them to be, but as who they are. So the humanness and seeing people in the light of love. It's one of the scriptures that says, gives me new eyes and a new heart to see and feel. Renew my mind and my heart in love. We ask in prayer sometimes, give me eyes to see this person from a place of love. Give me eyes to see this situation from a place of love. Now more than ever is the need for us to activate this power of love within us, which takes me to the last thing I wanted to do today. So I'm going to look at comments. on here and on here. Thank you all for joining. I see people popping in and out. If you're here, let me know. If you haven't said hello, say hello. We're going to do a little experience, 10 minutes of a meditation process with breath to reignite the power of love that lives within you. It's a golden light of the heart meditation. It's one that I've used with myself and with clients for years. It is an original meditation that I wrote for myself, and then I've shared it with others. And it's one that when I share it with people, the feedback has been that they can finally experience wholeness of love, not the human condition of love. So we'll go through that in a moment. So hi, Brandy. I wasn't sure you were on here. Brenda's saying love heals all and brings us together, honoring differences. Yes, love doesn't mean we all agree. Love means even if we don't agree, I can still love you. Even if I disagree or I don't understand why you would believe that, that doesn't mean I have to judge you. I can still love you. That doesn't mean everyone is welcomed in my life. There's boundaries. Real love also has boundaries that say, I'm going to take care of my needs so that I can show up for you. And the agenda drops away. The agenda isn't believe what I believe. The agenda is love, be love. Right? I love that quote, right? The greatest gift we'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return, because that's what we're all seeking. People who are on these self-discovery journeys are seeking love. They're actually seeking themselves. And they don't realize that for quite a long time. And that's why Rumi and some of these other poets would say, what you seek is seeking you. And in the Yoga Sutras, it says spirit sits there next to you waiting. Like it's already there. We just have to slow down and get still and allow it to show up within us. Right. So I'm going to check on here really quick, you guys. So if you see me looking away, I'm just looking on Facebook really quickly. Welcome to everybody that is on here. Thank you. Thank you. We're about to go into experience. Okay. I'm not seeing anything on there that's different. Okay. Yes. Denise is saying God is love. Absolutely. God is definitely the purest love we will ever access. And depending on your beliefs, the light of God's love is alive within us. Okay. Hi, Elizabeth. Good timing. We are about to do an experience. Okay. So if you're driving and listening to this, please don't do this right now. If you don't have the time to really sit for the next 10 minutes for this, I'm going to recommend that you come back and watch it later. It will be available on my group and on my page, but just so you can have the complete experience for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to invite, if you can, that your feet be connected to the ground, if that's available. If you're sitting in a chair or on a couch, or if you're sitting on the floor, cross-legged seat would be fine. You are welcome to lay down during this experience. That is fine too. Whatever is going to help you be comfortable. And I invite that you close your eyes. I honor that for some people that doesn't always feel okay. So a soft downwards hazy gaze is fine too. You don't have to see me, just be able to hear my voice. And let's start by taking 3 deep cleansing breaths together. Receive an inhale in through your nose. And just let that fall out. And again, deep breath in. Big exhale out. Let's do one more full breath in. And exhaling with an audible sigh. And now breathing easy in and out through the nose. And feel the subtleties of that release moving through the body. Notice the gentle rise and fall of the abdomen and the chest as you breathe. And allow your inhales to become a little more full. Feel the breath expanding. And allow the exhales to be a little more complete. Feel the bottom of the exhale releasing. Inhaling full. Exhaling complete. And allow your awareness to come into heart center. And with every inhale, notice a subtle sensation in the middle of the heart. And on every exhale, notice the release of that down all the way into the legs. Keep breathing in this way. Breathing into the heart. Breathing out into the legs. Now, as you inhale into the heart space, see, sense, feel, or imagine a beautiful, warm, golden light, the center of the heart, like the warmth of a candle flame, illuminating brighter on every inhale. And as you exhale, that warmth is being sent down into the legs. Feel the tingling sensation of the warmth on every exhale, all the way up into the pelvic bowl. As you inhale and the heartbeat pulses, this golden flame illuminates a little brighter. And as you exhale, send it into the abdomen and through the back. Like golden honey, expanding through your being. This gentle warmth filling your body. As you inhale and breathe into the heart space, the pulsation of the heart sends more of that golden light now to fill your chest, your upper back. Notice this gentle warmth, this embrace from deep inside. This golden illumination filling your being. As you inhale, breathing into the heart, this flame, this light grows even brighter and stronger now. And you feel it pulse out into your upper arms. And it travels through the elbows. And the next exhale, it drips into the lower arms. The heart feels so full it can't hold it all, and it expands it down into the hands and fingertips. See, sense, feel, and imagine the tips of your fingers illuminated in gold light. Your next inhale breathes deeply into the heart space, expanding the chest cavity and into the side ribs and upper back. And you feel this golden light pulse all the way up into the collarbones, traveling through the throat and neck. You feel this golden light filling into all the places where holding is stored. This warmth, this embrace from deep inside, soothing all the places where there's pain or suffering. As you inhale into the heart, you exhale, and it pulses now up into the face. And allow this light, this golden light of love, to melt any tension and holding in the face. Feel it softening. Notice this warm, soothing embrace of light moving through the face, into the ears, up into the scalp, and through the head. Breathe deeply. Allow this golden light to fill into every cell of the body. This is the light of love, the divine spark, the truth of who you are, the radiance of the heart, the deep well of wisdom, alive as life itself flowing through you now. A fountain of golden light illuminating through the heart space, from the tips of your toes, up through the feet and into the legs, and traveling up through the torso, and down the length of the arms, coating your throat in this golden light and through the face. Feel its warmth. Feel its loving embrace from deep inside. Feel it expanding and glowing, every cell of the body illuminated in this golden light, reminding you of who you are. Embodied light, the source of life itself. Now inhale deeply, and as you exhale, feel it spilling out. You are so filled full with this golden light that it begins to spill out of the heart space and 8 feet around you. This beautiful sphere of golden light beginning to fill up like a bubble all around you. Every inhale, you're so filled full with this light of love that is you. It begins to expand and pour out like overflowing a teacup onto the saucer. And it begins to fill and flow all around you. Inhale, breathe even deeper now. Fill all the way up. And as you exhale, expand it all the way out and around you, filling up even more. Let it fill the space that is you and cascade out to fill the energy all around you. Feel its warmth. Feel its embrace from deep inside. And now bringing into your heart's awareness something or someone that you love so deeply. A loved one, a child, a friend, a spouse, a partner, an animal, a place, a song, a memory, a smell, a flower. Bring it into your awareness now and feel that love expand and grow. Keep breathing. Feel the effects of this love alive within your being. Place a hand on your heart if you can, and a hand on your lower abdomen, making this connection between the source of love that's alive within you and the feeling being of your humanity, of your human being. You are the light of love. It lives alive inside you. It has always been there. And it is untouched by any suffering you have ever experienced in this life. It is pure and whole and radiant, vital life, the light of love. And rest in this space. Feel it as energy through the body. Stay with it for a few more breaths. And allow this to be a reminder of who you are, of your capacity to embody love, and the power of love that lives within you as you. Aligning yourself with this truth. And remembering that the more often you connect here, the longer you can stay. Bringing yourself back into awareness now. Coming back to join me on screen. And noticing any subtle changes or maybe big changes through that experience. We'll take a few minutes to share before we end for today. So on a physical level, notice if there was any changes inside. Perhaps areas of tension or holding that began to soften, and share those in the comments. Notice if there was any mental softening. Busyness of the mind began to soften and soothe down. Noticing if there was any emotional clarity. Maybe there was anxiety or fear and it became more clear and smooth. Brenda saying, so relaxing. Thank you. You're welcome. So honoring that, the truth of love as who you are. And when we begin to embody this light, this love, and we begin to practice this, what's going to happen is all the areas within us that aren't aligned with that love are going to start slowly releasing. And you may feel them as restriction or tension. And it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's that when we begin to remember who we are The lies of who we are not have to declutter. They've got to come out. And they'll come out as emotion. They'll come out a lot of the times as tears. They may come out as feeling tired or energetic. It's different for everyone. So being gentle with yourself is important. One of the things I tell all my students is when we begin to practice these teachings and we align ourselves with love, all the areas that we don't love ourselves come into the light. They have to, because they're seeking our own love. And so Linda is saying the throat area has an obstruction. So when you have time, drop back into that breath and just focus on the sensation in the throat. Try not to go into story and analyze what it's about. Just meet yourself there with kindness and allow this obstruction to have words of gentleness, such as, it's okay that you're here. I'm willing to feel you now. You too are loved. Because this is just old stuff that's trying to release itself. There may be grief there. Oftentimes when there's obstruction in the throat or chest, it's old grief that needs to come up. Right? Julie said, my heart space feels to be vibrating at a higher frequency now. Feels peaceful. It's beautiful. So rest into that peacefulness. We want to grow our capacity to stay in it longer. Jenny Lynn, areas of tension and pain spread out and soften. Anxiety, worries, busy mind, slowed and relaxed. You are welcome. Jai Bhagwan, my friend. Jai Bhagwan means victory to the spirit. May your spirit be victorious. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. If anyone feels called to share this, I would love that you do. If you are not already on my email list, you can go to kateship.com. We'll put that in a comment here. And on my homepage of my website, there'll be a slide out that says subscribe to emails. I will be doing more of these. My hope is to be able to do once a week, maybe sometimes even more. The topic will change every time. Sometimes there will be an experience. Sometimes it will just be conversation and dialogue. Occasionally, I will have guests on with me too. So wishing you all a very, very blessed, loving day. Jai Bhagwan.